Right now, somewhere out there, a person is thinking about you with an ache in their chest, not a passing thought, not something they'll forget by tomorrow, a deep, sitting, uncomfortable feeling that they are watching something precious slip away from them, and that something is you. Before we go further, settle in for a moment. Let your shoulders drop. Let your mind go quiet. Because what you're about to hear isn't random. It found you for a reason. This person senses a change they can't quite put into words. They couldn't tell you the exact day it started, but they know, without a doubt, that something between you has shifted. The way you show up for them doesn't land the same way anymore. There's a new quiet around you, a new distance in how you respond, and even though you might still be present in their life, still answering, still showing up when you say you will, they can feel a space opening up where closeness used to live. That space terrifies them, because somewhere in their mind, they always assumed you'd simply stay. It never occurred to them that losing you was something that could actually happen. This is new territory for them. They always pictured you as a constant, someone who would keep understanding, keep waiting, keep forgiving, keep choosing to stay no matter what. It wasn't that they didn't care about you. It's that they let themselves get too comfortable in your steadiness. They assumed love just kept running on its own, without upkeep. They believed a bond like yours could stretch across long silences and closed doors without ever snapping. They kept telling themselves there'd be time later to put in the effort. Now they're face to face with what that assumption cost them. The fear living in them isn't loud. It doesn't come out as a scene or a breakdown. It's a quieter, heavier thing, tucked away where nobody else can see it. It surfaces in the late hours when everything else is still, when they replay old conversations in their head and notice, almost involuntarily, how settled and calm you've become. And strangely, your calm frightens them far more than if you'd been furious. Anger would mean you still cared enough to fight. Calm means something else entirely. It can mean you've already made peace with letting go. They can feel you retreating, not from the room, but from within. You've stopped chasing explanations. You've stopped begging for reassurance. You've stopped trying to patch over what feels torn. The over-explaining has ended. The same emotional reactions they used to count on aren't showing up anymore. You're no longer holding your breath, waiting to be picked. And that quiet shift in you has rattled them more than anything they could have predicted. Because now, for the first time, they're the one left wondering if they waited too long. This awareness doesn't hit them all at once. It creeps in through small moments, a text that reads a little different than before, a sense that your focus has drifted elsewhere, a flash of what life would actually look like without you in it, and the hollow feeling that follows. Questions they used to brush off now keep circling back. What if I actually lose them? What if somebody else recognizes what I never fully appreciated? What if I've run out the clock? Time, which used to feel endless, now feels like something working against them. They're stuck in the middle of an internal tug-of-war, one voice pushing them to reach out, admit their mistakes, promise to be better, and another voice holding them back with pride, with the fear of being turned away, with the very real possibility that your feelings have already moved on. They don't know which side will win, but something inside them has cracked open and there's no closing it back up. Memories start flooding back. The patience you gave without asking for credit, the loyalty you never made a big deal out of, the emotional support you offered on your hardest days as well as theirs, the way you kept showing up even when things were hard between you. They're only now seeing clearly what they overlooked while it was happening, and that clarity stings worse than any argument you two ever had, because regret always shows up right after the truth does. They've started watching you in a new way, really noticing you, the tone in your voice, the things you no longer bring up, the independence you've built. They can feel that you're reclaiming something that used to belong to the relationship, your own power, and that unsettles them because your strength doesn't depend on them anymore. You're not lingering by the door, hoping to be chosen, and that realization is pushing them toward the understanding that if they want to keep you, they're going to have to actually fight for it. Something is coming. Not a small gesture, not a half-effort text sent on a whim. Fear has built up to a point where it demands action. The thought that they might lose something they can never replace has taken root, and once that thought settles all the way in, they will move. What they do might genuinely surprise you, a confession they've been avoiding, a long message that seems to come out of nowhere, an apology for things they never acknowledged before, a softness you didn't expect to see from them again, or a real attempt to finally show up the way they never did. This won't be calm or calculated. It'll come from a tangled mix of panic and love, an urgent attempt to stop a loss they can now see plainly in front of them. But here's the part you need to hold on to. Their action, however dramatic or heartfelt it seems, doesn't automatically fix anything. You are not the same person you were when this all began. You've grown since then. You've healed things you didn't know needed healing. You've discovered what it means to choose yourself first. So, when their unexpected move finally arrives, it's going to put the decision back in your hands. Do you actually want what they're offering now? This isn't a test for them. It's a moment of truth for you. Ask yourself honestly, does this align with the person I've become? Is this a steady change, or just a reaction to fear? Is this real transformation, or panic dressed up as growth? Am I being chosen out of genuine desire, or only because I was finally about to walk away? You don't owe anyone your old tolerance for less just because it feels familiar. Your energy shifted for a real reason, not to punish them, not as some strategic game, but because your spirit needed rest and peace. And ironically, that very shift is what woke them up. No matter what happens from here, remember this: you are the reason things changed. You caused this awakening. You were never as invisible as it felt. Here's the truth to carry with you. This person feels like they're losing you because in every way that matters, they already have. Maybe not in the physical sense, but in spirit, which is often where it counts most. And now, staring down that loss, they're going to act suddenly, emotionally, without much of a plan. But what unfolds next has nothing to do with their fear. It has everything to do with your truth. Stay grounded, stay honest with who you are, and remember, you were never meant to be a prize people only value once you start walking away. You deserve to be chosen, deliberately, every single day. While you wait to see what move they'll make, understand that the silence you've been sitting in isn't empty. It's actually where your own strength has been quietly building. This person is beginning to notice that you're no longer standing by the door hoping to be seen. They're seeing someone steady, self-assured, whole, without needing them to complete the picture. And that version of you is exactly what's pulling them toward this breaking point. While they were coasting in comfort, you were busy transforming. As they get ready to make their move, be prepared to view whatever they offer with clear, unclouded eyes. Sometimes people only step up because they can't stand the silence, not because anything inside them has truly shifted. Whether their effort turns into a new beginning or the closing chapter of an old story, you're going to be okay. You've already accomplished the hardest part, learning how to stand steady on your own 2 feet. Whatever they decide to do next will only confirm what you already understand deep down. You are someone worth fighting for. And more than that, you're someone worth choosing every single day without needing fear to force the decision. Trust your gut as things play out, because your intuition already knows the difference between real change of heart and a temporary fear of being alone. When this unexpected moment finally arrives, expect a wave of mixed emotions. You might feel relief. You might feel an unexpected sadness watching them try, maybe for the very first time, at something you'd been asking for all along. There's a strange kind of power in finally receiving what you once begged for months or years ago. But don't let the emotion of the moment cloud your judgment. Pay attention to whether their new energy seems built to last, or if it's simply a quick patch meant to stop the pain of losing you. They're acting now because your absence has finally become real to them. They're realizing that the person who always understood, who always stayed, has finally hit a limit. This is the point where their words need to be matched by real, lasting change in how they actually live and treat you. You might notice them bringing up old memories, trying to pull you back toward the good times you once shared. That's because those memories represent a version of the past where they felt safe and in control. But you don't live in that version anymore. You've stepped into a future where your own peace matters more than a comfortable, familiar routine. As they try to close the distance between you, stay alert. Watch closely whether they're actually listening to what you need now, or whether they're still centered on their own fears. How they respond to your distance will tell you everything. If they get frustrated that you're not rushing back into their arms, that tells you their so-called change was rooted in control, not love. But if they respect your space and show patience, that's a sign they're finally learning how to value you the right way. This next chapter of your story is about holding on to the growth you worked so hard to earn. It's tempting to slide back into old habits the moment someone starts giving you the attention you always craved. But remember, the nights you spent questioning your own worth. Remember the silence that forced you to become someone stronger. Don't let their sudden urgency erase the journey you've been on. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to acknowledge their effort while still saying it might have come too late. Or you're allowed to explore whether something new can genuinely be built. The decision belongs entirely to you, and for the first time, you get to make that choice from a place of strength instead of desperation for their affection. Trust that whatever unfolds is moving you towards something better. If this person truly belongs in your life, they'll rise to meet the version of you that exists now. They'll stop making excuses and start making real, tangible sense. If they can't meet you at this new level, that simply means they were one chapter in your story, not the entire book. You've already won something important. You found yourself in the process of potentially losing them. Keep your head up and protect your heart. Life is watching closely how you navigate this, and it tends to reward you with exactly what you're willing to settle for. So don't accept a fleeting spark when what you deserve is something steady and lasting. Your worth was never something to be negotiated. It simply is. As time moves forward, you'll notice life testing this newfound strength of yours. This person might reveal a side of themselves they've kept hidden for a long time. They might briefly become the partner you always wished they'd be, but likely only for a short stretch of days or weeks. This is exactly why staying grounded matters so much right now. What comes next is really about watching for consistency. Anyone can show up beautifully when they're scared of losing something, but only someone who genuinely loves you will keep showing up once that fear fades and things feel secure again. What you're really searching for is a love that remains steady even after the threat of loss disappears. Someone who treats you like a priority on an ordinary afternoon, not only when you've already got one foot out the door. You may find yourself standing at a crossroads, weighing the history you've built together against the future you actually want. It's completely okay to feel torn. It's okay to feel loyal to the time and memories you've shared, but you can't build something healthy on top of a broken foundation unless that foundation gets properly repaired first. If they're asking for another chance, what they're really asking for is your trust, and trust isn't handed out freely, It has to be earned through consistent action over time. Don't feel pressured to give them an answer right away. If they genuinely value you, they'll be willing to wait while you take the time to heal and observe. Their patience during this period will tell you more about their real intentions than any of their words ever could. During this stretch, tune into your own body and your own sense of calm. When they reach out, does something in you lift with genuine happiness, or does your stomach twist with anxiety? Your body often understands the truth long before your mind is ready to accept it. If their renewed attention feels heavy or exhausting, that's a signal your heart has already begun to move on. If it feels light and hopeful, maybe there's a path forward worth exploring. But regardless of what you feel, don't abandon the version of yourself that learned how to be happy on your own. That version of you protected you. That version carried you through the hardest parts. Never trade your inner peace for a relationship that demands you shrink yourself to fit inside it. In the end, this entire experience is guiding you toward complete clarity. You're learning exactly what you're willing to accept and what you refuse to tolerate anymore. Whether this person steps up permanently or fades once the initial panic wears off, you've already claimed the real prize, the understanding that you are enough exactly as you are. You've learned you never needed to chase anyone to be worthy of being seen. Prepare yourself for the moment when their grand gesture, their sudden burst of change, starts to fade. Often, once the immediate fear of loss disappears, people slip right back into old patterns. This becomes the real test for both of you. If they genuinely absorb the lesson, they'll keep showing up even after life returns to normal. If all they wanted was to win back what they were afraid of losing, they'll stop trying the moment they feel secure again. Your role here is to stay rooted in your own strength and not give your heart away too quickly. Watch closely how they behave when there's no crisis, no fear driving them. That's the real person you'd actually be building a life with. People around you might start noticing something different in you, a new glow, a new steadiness. When you stop pouring your energy into something that never gives it back, that energy stays with you instead. It shows up in your work, your health, your friendships, every corner of your life. You're becoming someone who attracts better things simply because your standards have risen. This person notices it too, and it makes them realize that if they don't step up now, someone else eventually will. But remember, none of this is about making them jealous or winning some kind of contest. It's about recognizing that you are the most important person in your own life. That understanding becomes your protection against future heartbreak. In the end, this whole experience is a form of clarity disguised as pain. It's proof that you have the power to reshape your own life. You no longer need anyone's permission to feel happy or secure. Whether you choose to let this person back into your life or continue moving forward on your own, you're doing it from a place of wholeness now. You've turned your pain into a roadmap leading straight back to your own peace. Trust that life is steering you toward a connection that feels easy, honest, and full of mutual respect. You've put in the work of growing, and now you're ready to receive love that actually matches the person you've become. As you step into this new chapter, you'll notice your relationship with time itself has changed. You're no longer racing to fix things or force a final answer. This person is now feeling the full weight of your silence and your independence. They're starting to understand that while they took your time for granted, you were investing that same time into becoming a better version of yourself. That realization is exactly why their next move will feel so urgent, so intense. They're trying to catch up to who you've become, only to discover you've already moved miles ahead emotionally. The distance between who you used to be and who you are now is forcing them into honesty. Soon you'll see that their actions reflect their own inner growth, or the lack of it. If they come to you with humility and real understanding of the pain they caused, That shows they've genuinely done the work. But if they come armed with more excuses or try to guilt you for having changed, that shows their actions are rooted in fear of being alone, not real growth. Stay sharp. Listen closely to what's left unsaid. Genuine change sounds like a sincere apology followed by a long stretch of consistently better behavior. It doesn't sound like 100 promises crammed into a single conversation. You are now the one setting the standard for what's acceptable in your life, and you have every right to demand consistency over intensity. There's a quiet kind of joy in realizing you're no longer at the mercy of someone else's hesitation. You've taken back your power simply by refusing to keep playing along. This person is now witnessing a version of you that's rare and valuable, precisely because it no longer depends on them. That makes you more compelling to them than ever, and it also raises the stakes considerably, because they know that if they fail this time, there may not be another opportunity. That pressure will reveal who they really are. You can watch how they handle it without feeling any obligation to help them through it or guide them along the way. And finally, remember that your peace is sacred. You worked through tears and confusion to arrive at this place of calm. Don't let anyone else's sudden panic disturb the stillness you've built. Whether this person becomes part of your future or remains a lesson from your past, you've already come out ahead. You've proven to yourself that you can weather the cold and come out the other side even stronger. Your future stands on solid ground now, built on the truth of your own worth rather than the shifting moods of someone else. Keep your heart open, but keep your boundaries firm, and trust that the right path is unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to. As you keep moving forward, you'll notice your need to understand why they acted the way they did starts to matter less and less. There was a time you spent hours trying to make sense of their choices, but now your focus has shifted toward how you actually feel. This person can sense that they no longer hold the keys to your happiness, and that's exactly why their next move is going to be bold. They're desperate to regain the kind of influence they used to have over your emotions. They're realizing that small gestures and empty words no longer move you the way they once did. This shift in you is forcing them to confront parts of themselves they've spent a long time avoiding. The truth is, your growth has set a new standard, one they're not used to meeting. They're beginning to understand that earning a place in your life now requires more than simply being present. It requires real substance. You might notice them opening up about fears or past wounds in a way they never did before. While that kind of vulnerability can be meaningful, remember, it doesn't erase the period where you felt completely alone in this. You're allowed to acknowledge their struggle without taking on the responsibility of fixing it for them. You've already carried more than your share of this relationship's weight. Now it's their turn to carry theirs. There's a powerful stillness that comes from knowing you'll be okay no matter what they ultimately decide. This person is reacting to your strength, and that strength is your best protection. They're learning that you're not a fallback option or a safety net they can count on being there forever. You're someone with a full, meaningful life that exists entirely on its own. As they prepare to make their move, keep your attention on your own goals and your own happiness. Don't let their arrival throw off the progress you've made in your career, your hobbies, or your other relationships. Your world no longer revolves around them. In the end, you'll see that this whole experience was designed to reveal your own capacity to rebuild. You've proven you can be broken down and still put yourself back together into something even stronger. This person is just one part of a bigger story, one that's teaching you that you deserve love that shows up actively, not love that only reacts once it's about to lose you. Whether their unexpected move leads to a new beginning together or a final goodbye, you've already accomplished the most important thing. You found your own voice. You're moving through life now with a sense of purpose that nobody can take from you. Trust this process and keep walking your path with confidence. As this journey continues, you'll notice the mystery of their behavior no longer takes up so much space in your mind. You've reached a point where your own happiness outweighs any excuse they might offer. This person is now feeling the true cold of your absence, a cold they were never ready to face. They're beginning to understand that the world kept moving without them, and more importantly, so did you. That understanding is pushing them toward a moment of complete honesty. Their pride is losing its grip because the fear of a life without you has grown louder than the fear of being vulnerable. Prepare yourself, because their sudden change might feel almost too good to be true. At first, they may say the exact words you once longed to hear, offer the affection you used to hope for. While that's a real validation of your worth, it's also a moment that calls for real wisdom. You're no longer someone starving for their attention, so you get to evaluate their offer from a place of fullness rather than hunger. You now have the clarity to tell whether they're genuinely transforming or simply trying to reclaim something they carelessly let go of. Your self-respect works like a filter now, letting you see their true intentions clearly, without the emotional static that used to cloud your judgment. You'll notice you're no longer thrown off by their silence or their inconsistency. When you stop chasing, you finally get room to breathe. They're confused by your calm because they were used to being the one who never had to close the gap. Now that you've stopped building every bridge alone, they're standing on the other side, figuring out how to reach you. That reversal is necessary for their growth. They need to feel the real effort it takes to maintain connection. By staying grounded and focused on yourself, you're teaching them exactly how you expect to be treated. You're showing them that your love isn't something casual. It demands a real, high level of commitment to match it. Ultimately, you're standing in a place of complete freedom. The weight of expectation has lifted, because you've already given yourself everything you once searched for in someone else. And whatever their unexpected move turns out to be, you'll meet it not from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness, ready to see clearly, decide freely, and choose whatever comes next on your own terms.